Mathayus had come to assassinate the wizard Kelly. Mathayus is attracted by Kelly's beauty. Kelly said, "You were betrayed." Mathayus was an assassin. Soon, Mathayus received the task of assassinating the wizard Kelly. Because Kelly has the ability to predict the future, Stephen can win every battle. The other tribes united against Kelly. Only by killing Kelly can the other tribes have a chance of victory. At night, Mathayus came to the camp to prepare for the assassination. After Mathayus killed the outer sentry, Mathayus called his camel. Mathayus shot a sharp arrow tied with a rope at the stump of the camp. The other side of the rope is tied to the camel. Mathayus used the rope to glide directly into the barracks. Mathayus kills several soldiers. Mathayus and his companions were about to approach Kelly's tent. Suddenly, it was discovered that there were a large number of archers ambushing in the tent. Mathayus dodged the attack, but the other two companions were caught by the arrows. Even so, Mathayus still had a task to complete. Mathayus went to the top of the tent, cut open the canvas, and sneaked in. Mathayus discovers Kelly. Mathayus prepares to shoot with an arrow. At this moment, Kelly turned around. Mathayus looked at Kelly. Mathayus shot the guard behind Kelly. More soldiers rushed in. Mathayus knocked all these guards down. Suddenly, a soldier restrained Mathayus with a fork. It turned out that Takmet, the son of the tribal leader, had rebelled. Takmet in order to show his loyalty to Stephen. Takmet informed Stephen of the assassination plan, and Takmet also offered his father's head. Stephen took out Mathayus' dagger. Stephen killed his own brother with a knife in front of him. Then Stephen asked Kelly what to do with Mathayus. Kelly came out and said, "You can't kill Mathayus, or you will bring trouble." Stephen believed in Kelly's words, but Stephen thought of a way to make Mathayus die in pain without doing it himself. Mathayus woke up from a coma, only to find himself buried in the earth. Only a head was exposed, and there was a skull next to it. At this time, the soldiers took a torch, lit the cloth strips, and threw them into the cave. Then a large number of fire ants came out of the nest. In a panic, Mathayus shook his head to avoid being eaten by the fire ants. At this time, the horse thief Heslov appeared in time and rescued him. Heslov asked Mathayus to take him into the city. Mathayus also happened to enter the palace to avenge his brother. They soon came to the city gate, and when Heslov asked Mathayus how to get in, Mathayus knocked Heslov unconscious. Then Mathayus spoke to the guard.
"Come to collect the bounty. Horse thief."
After entering the city, Mathayus found the child Zach. Mathayus used a ruby to let Zach take Mathayus into the palace. Zach takes Mathayus into the palace. With the help of Zach, Mathayus quickly found the arena. Stephen is inside. Mathayus raised his bow and was about to shoot Stephen. A man below also raised his bow and shot an arrow at Stephen. The arrow was actually caught by Stephen. Mathayus was taken aback. At this time, Zach was caught as a thief, and Stephen ordered the soldiers to cut off one of Zach's arms. Mathayus made a difficult choice. Mathayus chose to save Zach, but Mathayus' location was also exposed. Mathayus hastily shot an arrow at Stephen, but it was blocked by Stephen with a knife. The guards shot arrows at Mathayus, and Mathayus could only escape quickly. Mathayus ran into Bernard's room. Mathayus ejected himself out the window using a head-throwing device. It actually ejected into Stephen's harem. A group of women gathered around Mathayus. When they saw Mathayus, when Mathayus was unprepared, the women secretly removed the weapons from Mathayus. A woman rang the alarm, and a horde of soldiers rushed in. Mathayus was about to take out the weapon on his body, only to realize that there was no weapon on him. Mathayus hid behind the bronze bell and cut the bell rope. Mathayus used the bronze bell as a shield to avoid the attack. While escaping, Mathayus knocked open a door with the bronze bell and knocked down a wall at the same time. Mathayus almost fell off the tower. Luckily, Mathayus caught the wall in time. The guards ran towards him, and Mathayus chose to jump off the cliff. Mathayus doesn't want to be food for fire ants again. Seeing this, the captain pushed down two guards and chased after Mathayus. However, Mathayus fell into the skylight. The two soldiers were not so lucky and fell to their deaths on the spot. Mathayus actually fell into Kelly's room this time. At this point, Kelly is in the shower. Kelly is going through a virginity test. Soldiers put venomous cobras into jars, then turn the turntable to shuffle the jars. Kelly needs to use her predictive ability to find out exactly which jars do not contain poisonous snakes. If you find the wrong one, it means that Kelly has lost her chastity, because only a chaste body has the ability to predict. Kelly put her hand on the mouth of each jar and felt, then opened a jar and put her hand inside. The next second, she pulled out a huge cobra. It turns out Kelly really lost her virginity. After Mathayus took Kelly out of the city, Kelly told Mathayus Kelly doesn't want to help Stephen, but Kelly has been under house arrest by Stephen since she was a child. Mathayus did not kill Kelly, leaving Kelly to decide whether to stay or not. The next day, Mathayus came to the tribe. The people here are all survivors of Stephen's brutal regime. By predicting the future of a child, Kelly saw that the child would die. Stephen will send the army to kill everyone here. Mathayus would also die under the soldiers' arrows. Kelly told Mathayus about it. Mathayus told Kelly that he would kill Stephen. Then the two became ambiguous. Worried that the prophecy would come true, Kelly chose to leave. Kelly wanted to return to the palace too, kill Stephen to prevent the prophecy from coming true. Mathayus wakes up to find that Kelly has left. Mathayus also sneaked into the palace with Balthazar and others. After a bit of deployment, Balthazar and his tribe were responsible for the frontal feint, and Heslov and Bernard were responsible for placing the explosives. Mathayus climbed the palace hall to save Kelly. When Stephen was about to draw his sword and stab Kelly to death, Mathayus leapt down and kicked Stephen to the ground. The two then started a fight. Stephen slashed through Mathayus' armor with his knife. Stephen knocks over the jar, releasing all the cobras. The two fought each other, and Stephen still had an advantage in attacking, and Mathayus had to dodge repeatedly. At this moment, Balthazar opened the door and came in. Stephen held Kelly and escaped from the scene, followed by Mathayus, who chased out through the fire curtain. Kelly inserted the double knives into the oil pan, and turned them into flames, and the two knives slashed towards Mathayus. Mathayus was cornered to the edge of the tower. Stephen kicked Mathayus to the ground. Then Mathayus jumped up and grabbed Stephen's hands. Stephen dropped both knives and was thrust out by Mathayus. Then Mathayus knocked Stephen to the ground. Stephen got up and grabbed the charcoal beside him and threw it at Mathayus. Stephen walked around behind Mathayus and kicked Mathayus off the terrace. This scene is exactly what Kelly predicted. A soldier rushed out and shot an arrow at Mathayus. Kelly ran to Mathayus, trying to block Mathayus, but Mathayus hugged Kelly. Mathayus parried the arrow, but the arrow didn't kill Mathayus. Mathayus endured the pain and pulled out the arrow. Stephen picked up the double knives on the ground, ready to catch the arrow. Mathayus drew the longbow with all his strength, and the sharp arrow flew out. Stephen was shot flying with an arrow. At this time, Heslov also ignited the explosives, and there were explosions immediately. Stephen, who fell from a height, was engulfed in flames. At the end of the film, Mathayus and Kelly stand above the palace, and everyone worships them.